Welcome to the video lecture on using and or operators, the two of the Boolean operators in SQL for customizing conditions in the where clause. So this is a lot like order of operations in math, right? When you go back to the day, multiplication happens before division, which happens before addition, which happens before subtraction. Unless operated on by parentheses. Recall that kind of stuff? Gotta hope so. Anyway, so that kind of logic works in SQL as well. Ands are processed before ors when it comes to logic. So I'm going to switch over to Microsoft Access, and we're going to get our data sets. I think this is a fairly good way of doing this. So I'm going to create 3 queries in SQL to illustrate this. I'm going to create another query. Right. I'm just going to open up 3 query windows, right? And I'm going to go back to the Create tab, make another query, close the show table, right? I'm going to switch that to SQL view. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to select star. Can't tell you how many times I've selected 8. And again, that would just be a string. Literally, you would just get a bunch of 8s. From product T, where product description is like, again, we're going to use the wildcard from Access, desk. Okay, so I'm going to copy that, and then we're going to run that. So I get my 4 products whose product description is like desk. So in query 2, I'm going to change the desk to a table. Right? Data sheet, that little icon right there, this is basically the same thing as running, in case you're wondering. So now I get my 3 records that are associated with product descriptions that are ending in table. And then in this last one, I want where the product standard price is greater than 300. I'm going to run that. So far, so good. Right? So when we're looking at our example here, we've got the product description is like desk, or the product description is like table, and the product standard price is greater than $300. So we have those 3 data sets, so we can compare this. So now, when I look at the Venn diagram and I say, all right, the order of operations here is that we're going to combine the result set of the tables, right? So when we look at our example, so here are the 3 records that end up that are tables, and then here are the 5 records that are greater than $300. That's query 3. So then we combine those 2 together, right? We're doing an AND. Okay, so I'm ANDing those 2 together. So in order for records to be returned, they have to both be a table and be greater than $300. So let's see what records those are. So it's not an end table, it's not a coffee table, it's the dining table. So the only record that exists in both query 2 and query 3 is the dining table. Okay, so when we compare that, so now we're being ORed to desk, right? So now I get desk gets pulled in. So the only thing what's what's returned are all desks because it's or, VA and desk. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go into SQL and actually see that. So I'm going to create a new query. All right, I'm going to close that. I'm going to go back into SQL. I'm going to copy and paste that back in. I'm going to be as lazy and as quick as possible as I can with this. So this is or. It's a table, right? And product standard price is greater than 300. Okay, so now when I run this, see, I get all of them that are desks. The only other one that I get is the table. Okay, so that's the logic, right? So the ands and the ors work that way. So let's change this a little bit. Right, so you got this, right? I got all of the desks, right? So everything that showed up in query 1, because that was ORed, and then these two were ANDed. And the only thing I got when these two were ANDed is dining table, because the only two things that query 2 and query 3 had in common was the dining table. So it's either that, right? So the result of putting those two together is dining table, or it ends in desk. And that's why I get all my desks and the dining table. Okay, and again, I'm sorry I'm using and ors like that, but that's the way English works as well. So let's look at what happens when we start using parentheses. So here, if we use parentheses and we say, listen, we want desks and tables, right? So we want product records that are either desks or tables, and then we're ANDing that to anything that's over $300. Okay, so now what we're going to see is we're going to see query 1 and query 2 combined, right? So now we're getting all the desks or tables. So that means everybody. So we'll get 7 records when we do that. So we need those 7 records, and then we're ANDing that to are any of those 7 greater than $300, which is query 3. So the computer desk, the writer's desk, and the computer desk, the writer's desk, the drawer desk, and the dining table. So the one thing that we're going to see is that the entertainment center disappears. So let's try that. We go into SQL view, and all we have to do is slip in a couple of parentheses, and the results of this query are changed completely. See, so we get the computer desk, the writer's desk, the 8-drawer desk, and the dining table. The reason we don't get the computer desk number 8, right, is because that's only $250, and we don't get the end table and the coffee table because they are also less than $300. And that will end my video lecture on using ands and ors and parentheses.